Let's get ready to rumble!
What is up, everybody? Alfred, Shank Club NFL president, is in the building. We're talking NFL on Wednesday. We got a shit ton to get to. Carl is waiting in the wings, chomping at the bit. Got Dion coming on as well. We got a lot to discuss. If it is your first time watching this channel, please hit that like and subscribe button down below. Hit the notification bell. Leave any comments in the chat. We'll get to them live, or if not, leave comments under the video, and we'll always answer your comments afterwards. Good to have you along. It's been a busy week so far. It's just about to get busier. Carl, love the background. How are you, sir?
Hello, sir. Yes, I'm not too bad. Come back from London on Monday afternoon, I believe it was, after the NFL game. Really exciting stuff. Some really cracking games to review, especially the Packers-Bengals debacle where Crosby missed 3 field goals. That was quite entertaining. Patriots nearly screwed up against Houston. Chiefs defense once again was the equivalent to landfill again. Obviously, Trey Lance had his debut, which we're going to get a little bit more into as the show progresses.
Definitely. Let's bring our other guest on. Live from Arizona, was at the game, I believe. Were you at the game Sunday?
Yes,
Dion?
I was. Yes, sir.
So we'll get some first-hand information on that when we get to it. How are you, Dion? How was it? How do you feel?
I mean, the game is fantastic. It's always great whenever you get to go to a game. And I didn't necessarily know that the seat that I picked was ridiculously close. I was literally on the 49er side, basically on the 30-yard line. I want to say 12 rows up from the field. So I was able to get pictures of people clearly. Like it was amazing. It was a good experience outside of the loss. It was hard to watch from a standpoint of, feeling like the game plan wasn't tailored for them to win, but we'll get into that later. But other than that, of course, the experience was great. That's the second time I've been to an NFL game, and both of them, oddly enough, have been at State Farm Stadium.
Yeah, definitely. We got some conspiracy theories going around about the 49ers, and we definitely, I know Carl is going to bring some heat and some conspiracy. I can't even say. I don't know. Why am I trying to say conspiracy
theories is what you was meant to say. Okay.
I don't know. But anyway, Carl, let's have your feelings on what transpired. I believe it was Saturday and, well, definitely over the weekend about the comments made by John Gruden and obviously everything else that's taken place afterwards. He resigned, coward's way out. But what's your, and I believe you have a dossier, which is posh words for a few notes scribbled on a bit of paper. But Carl, give it to me. What is in your dossier of dirt?
Right. Well, let's go back to obviously when I had my brief appearances on Saturday due to my problem with 4G on the train. I didn't think John Gruden should have been fired because it was one email that come out, and usually if it's just one email, it's usually a mistake. It gets pushed to one side and it all gets forget all about. Over the course of the weekend and of course of what transpired on Monday as well, more and more emails came out during the Washington football team's investigation, which was over 650,000 emails. with the likes of Bruce Allen and numerous other people. John Gruden was also involved in this. Here is the quote that he said, okay, as he resigned, okay. I have resigned as head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. I love the Raiders and do not want to be a distraction. Thank you to all the players and coaches, staff, and fans of Raider Nation. I'm sorry. I never meant to hurt anyone. Now, that last little bit really did grind my gears because let's be frank here. Everything that he has said from what has been spoken about is completely and utterly unacceptable. Okay. The first email that he apparently sent of some kind was back in 2011, and people said it's one email, shouldn't worry about it. Then an avalanche of emails started coming through, which spanned from 2010 to 2018. During this time, he was commentator for ESPN for Monday Night Football. Dion, America is the land of second chances. Okay? People make mistakes all the time. But even I have to say, even a white privileged man like John Gruden, who has got some influence and connection to a degree of power, that can't be overcome. And it's especially what was reported by the New York Times and also what we found out over the last 2 days or so. Let's look at the points of what he actually has said during part of these emails. John Gruden made racially insensitive comments to Damari Smith, who is the executive director of the NFL Players Association. We then learned he was against the NFL, bringing in a guy like Michael Sams. That apparently he told the commissioner, Roger Goodell at the time, and former NFL Rams head coach, Jeff Fisher, not to be encouraged to draft queers. Okay? He then sat up there and calls the commissioner a P word. He calls the vice president of the United States a P word. He is against women being officials in the NFL. That's one of my biggest gripes that I've got with this story. He said Eric Reid should be fired for exercising his constitutional rights. Now, whether people want to agree with that or not, that's entirely up to you. But he had every right to. He had every right to do that. Okay. All the stuff that's been said, and John Gruden eventually got fired. He resigned. He didn't get fired. He resigned. This will come out on Friday. And the NFL were absolutely shocked and horrified when they found out that John Gruden got fired on Monday night. They were expecting him to go immediately like that. Mark Davis just sat on his laurels and hoped to God that this was just like a tip of the iceberg, pushed away to one side and everything be fine. He wasn't expecting this avalanche of shit to come his way. And when it eventually did, he had no choice. Now, a lot of people said he should have been fired then and then, rather than on Monday. But when a head coach is trying to game plan for your Sunday game against the Chicago Bears, you don't really want that being a distraction because you're still trying to win a game at the end of the day. There's two things that I'm going to end up saying here, and I don't care if I get taken off this show. Okay, first of all, I want to talk about women, him being against women, being officials in the NFL. Nick, you will back me up on this. Last weekend, our country, England, played a soccer World Cup qualifying match against Andorra. The referee, the assistant linesman, the fourth official, and the people that were sat behind VAR, the video assistant referee, for the first time in football history, were all officiated by women. The profile in women's sport and women participation has been higher and more recognized what it's ever been before for the last 10 or 15 years or so. Women are actually more focused on sport than what we actually realize. The women's national team of soccer is now more notified and witnessed than what we've ever seen before. Women are actually competing in sports that were dominated by men, and I'll give you the list: MMA, boxing, golf. Nick, you're my sport, darts. They are starting to. It's just amazing, and we are embracing it. It's fantastic to see. And yet you got an old ass dinosaur like John Gruden saying he doesn't want any of that. There's one team I will put into transparency in this: the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They are very transparent. They have got two coordinators, Todd Bowles and Byron Leftwich, both black men. They've got females that are on the team as not as coaches, but as staff. Everything that you see is it's diversity, and that's where it gets bleak, because John Gruden doesn't believe in it. He believes it's in his way or the highway. Well, the highway is unemployment land, my friend, because that's where you're fucking going. And the last bit, I will end it with this, okay? I'm going to say it's a little quote here that gets said from anybody who's ever watched Bar Rescue would understand. If you do it once, it's a mistake. If you do it twice, it's a choice. John Gruden, you made a choice to send those emails from 2010, 2018. You made a choice to make racially insensitive comments to Damari Smith. You made the choice to say to Roger Goodell and to Jeff Fisher not to encourage them to draft queers. You made that decision. You then sat up there. You made a choice to call the commissioner a P word. You made a choice to make the vice president of the United States of America a P word. You made the choice to be against women being officials in the NFL. You insulted blacks, the gay community, and women, and criticized players' safety in reducing the concussion protocols. John Gruden was against that. He ain't the only one out of all of it. So Bruce Allen is also one of the main linchpins with regard to what's going on with the Washington football team right now. The list of names I've got here: Ed Drouse, co-founder of Hooters; Jim McVeigh, the executive of the Outback Bowl in Tampa. He's also Sean McVay's uncle. Nick Reeder, the founder of PDQ Restaurant, a Tampa Bay-based chicken franchise, were all in these emails that John Gruden said. He made a choice to say and do those things. And as a result, you got caught. You're out on your ass. It's as simple as that. And any Las Vegas, Oakland, or LA Raider fans that think they have something to defend John Gruden with, you're about as bad as he is. Because there is no remorse for this. He deserves everything John Gruden gets. I'll let Dion take the stage from here.
Not necessarily sure how to follow that up. I'll preface my comments by saying this: none of what transpired was okay. None of the things that were said are good or cool in any way, shape, or form. You know, basically, you offended everybody you possibly could. None of that is okay. Here's the thing, people. I'm gonna keep you a buck with you. I'm gonna give you some reality. This happens all the goddamn time. This is nothing new. There are people that talk like this on a consistent basis, and they're all in the NFL. They just don't get caught. That's all it is. Like I said, none of this is okay, but there are still people to this day that honestly, unfortunately, even feel like women shouldn't be working. They're stuck in the dark ages of the 30s, 40s, and 50s, where women were just supposed to shut up, have kids, and clean the house and make dinner, and not say anything. You know, the sad part is all these things come out, and I'm not going to front you. when I look at John Gruden, it fits the bill. I look at his face, look how he moves, look how he talks. Not surprised by any of it. This doesn't take me. I'm not taken aback by that. He figured that he could get away with these things, and I'm gonna tell you right now, the only reason this stuff came out is because he pissed off the wrong person. You know, and you have an investigation into a team. You think John Snyder or Dan Snyder, my bad.
Dan Snyder, yeah.
Yeah, Dan Snyder. He fought to keep the name Washington Redskins when everyone told him that it was offensive. You know when that man changed his mind? When someone messed with his money. FedEx said they would not be supporting him if he didn't change that name. And FedEx was a really big supporter for the football team as we know them now. So when FedEx came in and dropped that hammer, he moved. Why? His money was being messed with. So when I look at it, am I offended by it? Am I bothered by it? Not really. Stuff happens all the time. It's just who actually gets caught and who actually fesses up and who actually owns it. And his apology, that didn't change anything about who he is. John Gruden still feels the same exact way. You know, his mindset is that of the old days. You know, gay people are to stay in the closet. Women should just stay at home, bear children, cook, clean, and look good. And they're not to be heard, they're to be seen. You know, we don't need them officiating games. We don't need them doing this. We don't need them doing that. My thing is, if she could prove she could do it, why not allow it? The 49ers had a linebackers coach that was a female for a while. She left. She said her time there had ended. She moved on. You know, and I'm sorry. At the end of the day, I don't care whether what you are, gay, straight, LGBTQ, pronoun, whatever you want to use. If your ass can play football, I want you on my team. I don't give a damn. I truthfully don't care. What you do in your personal life is none of my business. But at the end of the day, for him to come out and have all these things against him and say all this stuff, man, that just shows you the person that he is. And I'll take you back to a situation that happened years ago. Y'all remember a situation with Riley Cooper in Philadelphia?
Yeah.
You know what LaShawn McCoy said? Because he went in and he apologized to everybody in the locker room. LaShawn McCoy looked at him and said, I don't accept your apology. And it just tells me who you are. So I know who you are. It's cool. See, I'd rather have somebody be upfront and straightforward with me than lie to my face. There's no point for you to hide behind it. And I'll give you a little story, and I've told this before to several friends of mine. I used to work in the grocery store out here, and we sold furniture. So I walk up, there's a guy, he's looking at the furniture. And I said, hey, need any help with anything? He looks at me, he says, no. I said, okay. Walked off. Walked back around. He's still looking. No one's helped him. Come back. Sir, I kind of noticed you're still here. Just wanted to double check in with you. Do you need help with anything? And he looked at me and he says, well, I do, but do you have someone white? And I said, yeah, I got somebody in the back. And he goes, I prefer that. Okay, cool. Now, the average person would be offended. They want to blow up and scream and holler and shout and do all that. That's what he wanted. That's what I gave him. I don't care. You know why? He didn't call me anything derogative or use any racial slurs. That was his preference. I didn't care. I went in the back. Hey, need this guy to get help. Why can't you do it? Well, he requested someone white. I'm not going out there. That's racist. Look, man, just go help the dude. He ain't saying nothing crazy. He just wanted that. That's his preference. Let him help out. So he went ahead. He did what he needed to do. He comes back the next day to pick up his furniture, and he has a truck. There's no one there to help him but me. So I said, sir, if you just allow me, I'll take this stuff out to your car. I'll go ahead and put it in there. Everything is cool. I don't want you to be waiting here very long. So he kind of shrugs his shoulders, lets out a really big sigh, and he says, "All right." So I loaded his stuff up. I looked at him and said, "Thank you for purchasing your furniture. You have yourself a wonderful day." And as I walked away, he stopped me and he looked at me and he put his hand out. And I shook his hand and he told me himself in that moment, "Thank you for changing my perspective." And he told me exactly what he had been through and the things that he went through as a person, and that I was able to go ahead and help him with that because of how polite I was. That's fine. My thing is, he never said anything crazy to me. He just had his preference. It is what it is. But this, John Gruden, look, man, he, sorry, I'll say it blatantly. You fucked yourself out of a job. You'll never be able to work in the NFL again. No one's gonna hire you. No one's gonna touch you. And if they do, they know the scrutiny they will face every single day for as long as you are where you are. Now, will he?
Go on.
No, go ahead. What was you gonna say? Go ahead.
If it walks like a duck and talks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's a duck.
Yeah. So you've kicked yourself square in the ass and put yourself to a point where you'll never wind up being able to work around NFL circles, because the first thing they're going to do is they're going to look and go, well, if you can't be sensitive to everybody, we can't have you here. And the last thing that I'll say on this is, I'll remind you, I don't feel like any of this is okay. None of this is cool. He should have never said these things, and he should evolve. I had to evolve. I wasn't as inclusive as I used to be. I had to take my time and understand things. I never said anything crazy to anyone, but the way I was brought up was in a church, and I was brought up with the Bible, and we were told, "Hey, you're straight. That's it. There is nothing else." Over time, I learned and started to understand the other side of things, and now I'm personally can care less. I don't care what you do. Your personal business ain't mine. I've run into friends who were gay in high school and saw them outside of high school. And I see them with their significant other and they stop and they're like, "Oh, crap." And I'm like, "Oh, what's up?" I don't care. It's not my business. Do you, you know? But for you to start degrading people and talking about people, man, you know you ain't right for that. You know you're not. So, John Gruden, your little shitty ass fucking apology don't mean nothing to me. That just tells me that you be in the back, in the back room, still saying the same crap. At the end of the day, you revealed who you are, and now we know how you feel.
100%.
I think the thing I want to kind of touch on, like you, Dion, I was brought up within the church, within the Roman Catholic faith. And for the first 14 years, 15 years of my life, like Dion was saying, I was brought up with, a lot of things are wrong and you're straight and that's the only way and there's no other way. And obviously not from a point of view of, women should be seen and not heard and in the home and things like that. But I definitely agree with what Dion was saying about being in the church and the way you talk. And I am Gruden's age, and possibly 40 years ago, no, that's probably a bit strong, 35 years ago, all I knew was the way I was taught, and that was the way you were taught about homosexual and the LBGTQ. I probably got that wrong, but you know what I mean. That was
actually, you got it right. That's exactly what it is.
You said all that, is it? I'm quite impressed with that.
He's learning on the fly already.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not even going to attempt to say it again because I'll probably get all the letters mixed up. But, you were taught there was one way and that's the only way. And then as you get older and you learn more and you adapt to things, of course, you learn. I mean, when I was younger, there was no homosexuals, or there probably was. Of course there was. But they weren't as to the front and I don't mean that disrespectfully, but it was wrong to come out as gay in the 70s and well, I was born in 67. So mid 70s, people were afraid because things used to go on where if you were gay, if you walked the wrong way on a Saturday night, you might end up getting the shit kicked out of you just because you were gay. And people didn't like that. And of course, it's now totally changed and the way that people perceive things. But dinosaurs like Gruden should just get the fuck out. I'm sorry. He shouldn't even be allowed to pack fucking groceries in Costco, right? He shouldn't. I know he's probably got all the money in the world and he doesn't need to work. But the point is, he should be banned for doing anything whatsoever. I don't give a shit if it's fucking parking a car.
His career.
No one.
Well, his career's over in the NFL.
He has.
His career's done in the NFL.
He shouldn't be. Yeah, but what I'm saying is he shouldn't be with those views and the way society will view him. And I'm sure there's going to be other people that get caught in this dragnet. Don't get me wrong. And I think there's going to be a few more people that fall on their sword, right?
John Gruden is not going to be the only domino that's going to fall. I'll say this, okay? Two lawyers who are doing the Washington football team investigation, they posted this tweet up earlier on today. I don't know if anybody has seen it, but I'm going to read it out to you anyway. It is truly outrageous that after the NFL's 10-month-long investigation involving hundreds of witnesses and 650,000 documents related to the long-time culture of harassment and abuse at the Washington football team, I'm going to retract that and say Washington Redskins, because that's what they were back then. The only person to be held accountable and lose their job is the coach of the Las Vegas Raiders, John Gruden. If the NFL felt it appropriate to release these offensive emails from John Gruden, which it obtained during its investigation into the Washington football team, it must also release the finding related to the actual target of that investigation. Our clients and the public at large deserve transparency and accountability. If not, the NFL and Roger Goodell must explain why they appear intent on protecting the Washington football team and owner Dan Snyder at all costs. There's the jug. There is the final domino that will fall right there. The problem is that the NFLPA have already want to put a petition in place to get those released.
Okay,
but we know for a fact that the NFL are not going to release this because there's something more dark and sinister lying behind this than just some rather racist emails. There's a lot more going on in this investigation than what's meeting the eye.
I'll give you something. Remember years ago what happened with the Clippers head coach? Y'all remember that? What happened with the Clippers head coach? Can't remember this guy's name for the life of me. You know what? I'm gonna look it up. But
carry on.
It was, he said some stupid crap and he got caught. Mind you, he said it directly. See, this is one thing that I've always said. When you got money, you can make anything go away. And when you got money, there's always a fall guy. At the end of the day, in any type of industry, when you're the top dog, when you're up there and you have that kind of, that kind of pull, someone's going to take the fall. Dan Snyder's a billionaire. You really think he's going to take the fall and lose that team? Nah, he ain't losing that team. He looked at John. John, you got to take the L on this one. Don't worry about it. I got you on the back end, baby. Check your bank account. Everything will be cool. Don't worry. You and your family, everybody will be fine. You won't need to work. I just need you to take the fall on this one, John. And pat you on the back, give you a little pat on the butt, send you on out the door. And they gave you a couple $1 million for you to deal with whatever you deal with. Public backlash, all of that. Sad place is there's still places in America where John Gruden is going to be beloved for the comments that he has, because there's still a bunch of Neanderthals walking around believing the same things that he believes. It's not that I guarantee you there are places that would hire him off the bat immediately. We love you, John. Don't worry about it. Everything is cool. I
think so Dan Snyder, during this investigation, I think Dan Snyder was fined something like $10 million, I think it was, the fine was. The Washington football. He owns the Washington football team, and on Forbes, they I don't know what the term of phrase is, but they're worth 4.2 billion.
Yeah,
it's like losing. It's like losing a penny, and it's like basically it's like losing a cent and picking up $10.
Exactly.
At the end of the day,
absolutely nothing.
Not worried about it. He's absolutely not worried about it.
Money talk,
I'll tell you,
right?
money. Hey, money talk, bullshit walk. That's the key.
Sorry,
you're right. Go ahead, Alfred.
I think there's also the bottom line with this, and it's very true what Dion's saying. I'm quite into mafia, true life stuff. And when John Gotti was the head of one of the crime families in New York, he thought he was going to be untouchable. And he set up all of his captains and his like second and thirds in command. They were going to take the jail time for him because he thought there's no way I'm going to get caught in all this. And I'll look after your families. I'll do this. I'll do that. Exactly what Dion is saying where Snyder's concerned. And it definitely wouldn't surprise me. But I'm just glad that people like that he's had his ass kicked out. And you've only got to look at certain things within the NFL that's happened with players that have been caught abusing women, punching women, kicking women, doing whatever they do. And we know there's 2 or 3 that are still playing now, right? That did wrong and they're still in the NFL. And if they weren't any good or they were a shitty ass lineman, no disrespect to linemen, but if they weren't who they are and what they did, they would have been out of the NFL. And I'm surprised, as bad as what Ray Rice did, someone didn't give him a job, because all the others that have done exactly the same thing, maybe not as bad, a punch or a kick, doesn't matter what it is, it's still abuse and it's abusing women. Yet 2 of those players are still playing now. And to me, sorry, that's not acceptable. It's not acceptable. And we've touched on this before, but I'm glad.
Yeah, look at what the Giants did. They swept that shit under the rug that whole time with the kicker was there.
Not. He should have been sacked, not resigned, because resigning is the fucking easy way out. And as Dion said, his statement was bullshit. That was a PR stunt bullshit. Someone wrote that for him. He didn't mean a fucking word he said. And anyone that will tell you that he actually did and he's remorseful is full of shit. So sorry, John Gruden, the fuck out and stay away from anything that just wrong, totally wrong. Anyway, we got to move on, because otherwise we'll do 3 hours on that piece of shit.
One thing I found the thing here. So Donald Sterling, that was his name. He was in the NBA. So his girlfriend at the time was half black, and he said, "It bothers me that you want to broadcast that you're associating with black people, and also I'm just saying your lousy fucking Instagrams." You don't have to have yourself with walking. You don't have to have yourself with walking with black people. Also, you can sleep with black people. You can bring them in. You can do whatever you want. The little I ask you is to not promote it on that, and don't bring them to my games. Like, basically, he telling her, "This is an open relationship. You can do whatever the hell you want. Let's keep this shit under wraps. I don't need these. I don't need any of my constituents or my peers knowing that I associate with your kind."
That's not diversity. That's segregation.
Yeah, like you basically like, look, man. And see, here's the thing, and I'll say this, and I think Alfred would be cool. I think Nick will be cool with me saying this, and I'm just gonna keep it a buck. Fucking been going on since the beginning of time. How do you think all of us got here? Our parents had sex. We came out of it. Okay? If anybody in this world thinks that interracial dating it's been going on forever. Okay? Our body parts don't have brains. what you want is what you want. What you like is what you like. Whether it be the same sex, whether it be a different rate, whatever the case may be. At the end of the day, John Gruden is who he is. And if you believe otherwise and you want to vouch for your coach, he just didn't do it to you because he knew he would get in trouble. People won't say things to other people because they know they'll get in trouble. If I wake up tomorrow and my YouTube takes off and I wind up with 1 million followers, you know what's going to happen to me? Someone's going to research me. Somebody's going to find any and everything that I've ever said that was offensive to anyone and hold me accountable. How I hold myself accountable for those things would be on me. But somebody's going to do the research because they have nothing better to do. In this instance, with this investigation, period, point blank, he ain't the only domino. I guarantee you there's a bunch of owners that say the same stuff he did. This is not the only person talking like this, people. You know, don't go, oh my God, really? John Gruden, oh no, I can't believe it. Why would he say that?
I'd probably give you one name. I'll probably give you one owner's name that probably is sort of something to that background. And Nick probably will laugh and agree with me on this. Jerry Jones. Possibly. I mean, we're just throwing names out here. We're just throwing shit at the wall and hoping that it sticks.
If the owner for the Texans said we can't have the inmates running the asylum, you mean to tell me there ain't a bunch of other owners feeling the same way? Just not saying it openly because they don't want to lose their teams. Because the pressure will come from other places that will force them to sell them. Come on, man. This has happened already. You got the Houston Texans owner,
Cal McNair.
You got the Panthers owner. He sold the team. Like, look at this. Look at what Dan Snyder did, fighting to keep the Redskin name. We can move on, but people don't be fooled. It happens all the time. It's just in your face at this moment. That's it.
Definitely. But I think we can all agree, fuck John Gruden. Right, let's move on. Got the latest top 5 NFL power rankings. Just go through the top 5, and then once I've done it, agree or disagree. Number 5, up to Los Angeles Chargers. This is fucking hilarious. Up to number 4, the Dallas Cowboys. Give me a fucking break. Down 1, the Tampa Bay Bucks. Down 1, the Arizona Cardinals at 2. And top ranked because of the fantastic win they had in Sunday Night Football. The Buffalo Bills in the power rankings on NFL Network. They are number 1. Does anyone agree, disagree with that?
The Chargers I would put a little bit. The Chargers I would put a little bit higher up here because they have been playing lights out. Okay, their defense didn't play very well, but then again, neither did Cleveland. But Justin Herbert, I'm eating a bag of shit for this because I said he was the QB that was not going to pan out after the draft from last year. I thought he was one of the worst ones to come out of that position with Trevor Lawrence, with Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Baker Mayfield, and so on. I can't remember who else was the other player to be in there. Yeah. But yeah, Justin Herbert is literally throwing every negative thing that analytics have said, and he's just diced everything up. Leave you something with this as well, okay? We always say about Cleveland with Baker Mayfield how much of a very good QB he is. And he is a good QB, but he's played 50 games so far and has won 26 and lost 24. Just over an 0500 QB. I'll also put this down as well. That game against the Chargers that we saw of, that just shows you how little confidence Kevin Stefanski has with Baker Mayfield when it comes to game-winning drives. He's been in the NFL now for 4 years. He's had 7 game-winning drives in the fourth quarter. Justin Herbert has only just started his second year, and he's had 6 game-winning fourth quarter drives already. What does that say to you with regard of, Stanley? He trusts Justin Herbert. He's in a sophomore year, but he's 4 and 2, 4 and 3, 4 and 7, 4 and 8. Fuck it, go for it. Go for it. I trust you, boy. Stefanski doesn't trust Baker Mayfield. That final drive they had against the Chargers, what was it? Check down, 3rd and 10 running play. That's everything you need to know of how much they trust Baker Mayfield right now. And this will come a problem in time. I don't think it will happen in the regular season because their running game is probably the best double tandem in the NFL right now. No one's beating Chubb and Hunt at this current stage of play. But when it gets to the playoffs and it gets to the crunch time, that's when you need your QB to have that game-defying drive to win you the game. This is what made Tom Brady great. This is what made Aaron Rodgers great. This is what made Patrick Mahomes great. All these great QBs will have their clutch moments. And Baker Mayfield currently right now does not have clutch moments. He's a very good QB, but he doesn't have any clutch moments. So Chargers, I think for me, they need to be probably up to 3rd in the power rankings. Because I think right now, they're probably looking like the second best team in the AFC right now. I think the Buffalo Bills at the top, after what they've done to the Chiefs, outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. I can't fault. I honestly cannot fault them. Tampa Bay down to 3, a little bit disappointing. They pretty much sliced up the Dolphins in very easily fashion. But yeah, I think that is a good power ranking. I think the Chargers need to go higher up a little bit. I would still have Tampa Bay at number 2 if I'm honest, but it's very flexible. But these sorts of rankings are very, very flexible, and they can change in every week. So yeah,
definitely. Just before we move on to talk about what you want to talk about, Baker Mayfield, obviously very interesting at the moment. I've scrolled down a bit. You got the Browns ranked 9, up 1, even though we're obviously going to talk about that in a sec. Kansas went down to 10, down 2 spots because of that blowout loss. The New Orleans Saints, believe it or not, climbed up 8 places to 11, which is kind of weird. I'm sorry, Carl. I've got to scroll. I'm carrying on scrolling. I haven't come to the Pats yet. The 49ers are 17th, down 4. Vegas are down to 18th. Funny how it all changes. Blimey. Seattle 21. Fucking hilarious. New England Patriots ranked 22nd, Carl.
Not surprised. Not surprised at all. The way our offense is playing right now, I think that's a pretty clear-cut ranking for us. We came away with a very, very, very ugly win against Houston. I mean, fuck me, we made Davis Mills look like bloody prime Joe Flacco. And that was the damning thing. We're supposed to have this stout defense. He carved us up for 260 and 3 touchdowns. We were flipping awful in that game. But apparently,
Izzy's got a question for you.
Yeah. Defense had a shit game. I'll be honest. Defense had a really, really shit game against Houston. It weren't a good performance from us. You start to see some more longer throws Mac Jones was thrown to. Okay, he did throw an interception. It weren't a very good throw, to be honest with you. But that touchdown to Hunter Henry was something that we've been looking for. But Josh McDaniels, I fucking beg of you, stop playing screen passes every down. It drives me insane. We basically had no offensive line, okay? So we had our left tackle and right tackle out, and our right tackle and our right guard out. We basically had backups on that offensive line, and we actually gave up 1 sack. 1 sack and 3 pressures we gave up all game long. I'm thinking, wow, okay, that's a backup offensive line. So what the hell do we do when our starters come back in? But it was just an awful game. I mean, we came away with a victory, but Jesus Christ, that was horrible to witness. Absolutely horrible. If we're going to have any chance of beating the Cowboys this weekend, we really have to buck our ideas up. Defense has to be more tighter, and this offense has got to start clicking at some point. Now, they've had 5 games to try and get something going. And if Josh McDaniel could continue to throw screen passes, I'm literally going to throw my phone at his fucking head because it's just winding me up now.
I've got to read you this, Carl, because it is quite funny. Houston Texans ranked 30th, but moved up 2 spaces. And this is what it says. Davis Mills shredded the Patriots defense in the way many expected Tom Brady to a week earlier. The 3rd-round rookie, and bearing in mind this is how bad he was the previous week, washed away the memory of his 4 interception week 1 performance, setting career highs in passing yards, 312, touchdown passes, 3, in a narrow loss. Davis' productive day was especially impressive considering Bill Belichick's typical mastery over rookie QBs as a New England head coach. The hooded one moved to 22-6 against first-year QBs, but this wasn't a laughter like many of the others. The only other Texan player seeing ghosts on the field that day was Kai Fairbairn, who missed a field goal and 2 PATs. So that just tells you how bad or how good that defense made the guy look.
Yeah, it was not a good performance on defense. Jalen Mills was out; he was inactive. So Jawan Williams came in as the QB, as a CB2, and he got absolutely crisped alive by Chris Moore and Connolly as well. It was not a very good performance. Devin McCourty never really has a bad game for us. He's usually quite solid, but today was one of his most poorest performances I've ever seen him play. JC Jackson, he's the cornerback 1 now. He has to start stepping up. If you want this big load of money coming your way in the offseason, mate, you better start showing up. Because now we're relying on you. We ain't got Stephon Gilmore anymore. So defense has to step up. But what I will say is it was good to see Jamie Collins come back. So he made his presence felt in the linebacking room alongside Dante Hightower, who also got back to some sort of form he had before he opted out. So it's just some really, really difficult. It was a difficult game to watch. We come away with a win, but my God, we have to make some improvements now if we're gonna have any chance of being in the playoffs. We're only placed 9th in the AFC. We're only 2 places behind a wild card spot. That's the damning thing of all of this. We're 2 games back on a wild card. If we
Spoken like a true homie that you are, Carl. I love it. Dion, what's your thoughts on the power rankings that I've read out? Anything stand out to you?
Oh, dear.
That the Chargers should be higher. They're balling. Justin Herbert looks like a star. The Chargers should definitely be higher. The one thing I will say about the power rankings is thank God they didn't screw it up and put teams in there that don't need to be in there, i.e. Green Bay and Kansas City. Kansas City looks like hot garbage right now, and mainly because their defense is trash. And that's what's happening to them. They're getting themselves killed. And Pat Mahomes isn't able to pull off his normal, magician-like comeback that he does because they're getting down so far. But as far as those power rankings, yeah, man, I'm actually surprised we're 17. I didn't think we'd even be in the top 20. So, I'll take it. But at the end of the day,
I think some of these you have to take with a pinch of salt because I looked at that and thought, fucking hell, that's a bit high.
I obviously thought that
myself. I mean, we're not the Jets, and we're certainly not as bad as the Texans or the Jags,
the Lions or the Jags. Yeah, but what I'll say is when it comes to the Cowboys, the defense has actually been playing a lot better, and man, their offense is moving.
Trayvon Diggs is on course to be Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, they are moving, man. You know, Stefan's little brother, he looked good. He looks good, man. He's not too bad. But I'll say that, man. It's they're good, but I think the Chargers should be at least like 2 or 3, just based off of their the way they've been balling and how Justin Herbert's been playing. But that other than that, they make sense. I don't feel the Chiefs should be at number 10 because they're sucking ass right now. They should probably move down to about 15 or something. Pretty sure Mr. Smug would have an issue with that.
I think
it is.
I think that down at 10 because of their defense. I think it's got enough to do with their off. The offense is humming along. The offense is humming along nicely. The 18-wheeler is rolling right along, no problem.
Yep.
But the defense is straight up garbage. I've got to be brutally honest with you right now. Since the Super Bowl, they've given up 29 to the Browns. They've given up 36 to the Ravens. They gave up 30 to the Chargers. They gave up 30 to the Philadelphia Eagles. And now this week, they gave up 38 to the Buffalo Bills. All they've got is Stone Cold Chris Jones and Tyrann Mathieu. That's it. That's all they got. You can't just rely on those two to make plays and everything so on because it just doesn't work like that. In the NFL, to win the Super Bowl, you need balance. You need balance on offense, defense, special teams, and in your coaching as well. The Buffalo Bills right now are the most balanced team in the NFL. You maybe even probably put the LA Rams in there as well because their defense is stout and their offense is good. Plus, Sean McVay is a pretty damn good head coach. I just don't get the Chiefs right now. They've got a bit of a lighter schedule ahead of them, but they usually mask up the defense because Patrick Mahomes puts up 40 points on them because you got Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, McCole Harmer, Byron Pringle, and so on. But what we saw against the Bills was the blueprint of how to stop the Chiefs.
Don't forget Josh Gordon too. They added him, and
how long is that going to be before he gets put
it's
on
only look
again?
I get you but what I will tell you, I'm going to tell you this and I stick to this because I've said this. Even though he's only there for a few games, I don't know how over the years of not playing he maintains his freakish athletic ability, but he does. He is a difference maker. I'll tell you right now, if he came to us and said, hey, man, I want to play for the Niners. Look, we're going to put a security guard by this dude's door. Somebody going to have to babysit his ass because the output I get from this kid, if he can play at least 6 to 7 games, I'm going to love it. That he's the only – it's unfortunate what he does to himself, but he is the only receiver ever to be touted the next Jerry Rice. You don't get praise and a moniker like that if you suck. But
no,
right? We all know he'll be here for about 3 or 4 games.
You've got to hope, Nick. I'll bring you in a sec. Good to see you along. You've got to hope that he gets his shit together because, as you say, talent-wise, you can't. But he's his own worst enemy. He's
very much so.
That's his issue. He is his biggest enemy. Right, just before I bring Nick on, I've just found something that is fucking amazing. And can I just say, I don't know what time it is in Indianapolis at the moment, or when this tweet was sent out at 11:17 p.m. last night. Okay, so bear that time in mind, and that's American time, not UK time. Jim Irsay, owner of the Colts, sent out this tweet. And bearing in mind, I think he's pissed or smoking something. Colts Nation, don't you worry. We're going to get the horseshoe to at least 2 Lombardis this decade. As sure as the sun rises and the seasons change, it's coming. Don't you ever doubt that, ever. And then capitals, ever. You will see greatness. Believe and you will see. Jim, personal thing. You need an intervention, bro. Because if you believe that, the way your team is at the moment, but you're
one more
smoking.
thing. Just one more thing. He forgot to mention he also single-handedly ended Andrew Luck's career.
Yeah. But I just thought that was really interesting. I was just about to switch off the NFL app on my phone, and that was right down the bottom. Colts will win at least, and not get to, win 2 Super Bowls in the next 9 years.
They're not winning the Super Bowl with Carson Wentz. Sorry, they're not.
Nope.
Well, that's the thing that if he's there 2 years and he is dog shit, so that's 2 years down the pan. It's just I know owners want to keep the fan base happy and stuff like that. And Jed York did exactly the same fucking thing, and then went and hired Tom Sula and Chip Kelly, and how did that fucking work out? So, but God, honestly, Jim Irsay, take more water with it. Don't smoke it or inject it, whatever.
The only thing I will say regarding of Jim Irsay, and the only thing I like about him is that he does have an amazing guitar collection. He's like Sammy Hagar, but without the talent or the dignity. So
then maybe you should form a rock band and leave football operations to someone else because he's fucking smoking something. Nick, on that revelation, 2 things. A, how are you? And B, you failed in your background. You haven't been on the show that long. You failed in your background challenge. But at least the kitchen's tidy, bro.
I have not failed. The background is being left fallow while Jimmy is down. So
here's the thing.
That was deliberate.
He failed. What he failed in is that jersey he got on because my Dodgers is gonna whoop that ass. That's what he failed in.
No.
My Dodgers is coming for you. We got you. We got you the other night. We're gonna get you again. Do not worry. As much as you think you want to go ahead and go, the Dodgers and the Braves are going to be in the NLCS. There is no other chance. I'm sorry. You guys did all that work and got to play Big Brother for 5 minutes. Remember, LA still runs this shit. Kick your ass.
Dion, I love you, mate, but no. Gotta wake up tomorrow morning.
Hey, look, man. I'll give you a virtual hug when we fucking knock a bunch of homers down in San Francisco.
Yeah, they're gonna get past Crawford first.
For anyone watching that doesn't understand what Dion and Nick are actually talking about, it's baseball, it's the playoffs. It is currently 2-2 between the Giants and the LA Dodgers. It's game 5. It's a deciding matchup. Is that tonight or is that tomorrow night?
Tomorrow night.
It's tomorrow night. So it'll be tomorrow night on that one.
It could have been tonight just based off the fact that LA to San Francisco isn't that far of a fucking drive. Hell, even if you wanted to catch a flight, it'd be like 30 damn minutes. Yeah.
The thing that annoys me about this baseball, and I don't watch it, Nick avidly stays up all night to watch it. And he was so excited about a 1-0 win. Like this morning when I woke up.
It might have been a deal.
In the playoffs, it's a win. In the playoffs, you need that. I don't care if you win by 1. You gotta celebrate those because they don't. If you lose them,
a great war. Baseball spoils sleepy time for me. I'm afraid I just can't. How long did the game go on for, Nick? Just out of interest.
About 3 hours, isn't it? 3.5, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it must have been quick because some of the ones I've seen go on for 6 hours.
Yeah, well,
3 hours isn't bad.
First pitch was out at just shy of 3 a.m. here, and I was in bed at 6 a.m. So just shy of 3 hours.
Jesus Christ!
Yeah, with the TV timeouts, and then if it's a 1-0 thing, that's actually a pretty quick game. Strictly based on the fact that nobody scored a bunch of runs and nobody had to go to OT. I've seen baseball games go almost like 8 fucking hours just because they're tied and no one can score. And you run through all of the goddamn pitcher. Like last night, I kid you not. Can you please explain to me, Nick, what the fuck was going on with your manager and why you guys ran through damn near every pitcher on the roster within 4 fucking innings? That makes no damn sense.
I've caught highlights this morning. I didn't stay up for last night's game because I had to be in work this morning.
Yeah.
But I don't
It
know.
was picture after picture after picture after picture. I was like, what is he doing?
It's an odd one, but I'm not going to pretend to know the sort of ins and outs when it comes to tactics in baseball yet. I'm still a relative noob. But, I mean, as for the night before, I know it was 1-0. Suggests boring. It was far from boring. It was like a good old-fashioned NFL game that goes 7-3 because defense plays lights out. It was...
The only thing I will say about baseball to this day still amazed me. It was definitely the Giants were playing, and I can't remember what game it was or whatever, but I watched about half of the first inning or whatever it's called. I went out, went to the pub, got drunk, got a kebab, walked 2 miles home, eating my kebab. It was only 10 minutes up the road, but I was all over the place. But anyway, got home, and they were like in the 4th inning or something, or 5th. And I'm thinking, I've been out longer than like 2 hours. And I think this game went into about 16 million overtimes or some shit. And I just remember, then I fell asleep and woke up, and the fucking thing was still going on. And I'm like, I can't get it. You've got people falling asleep in the bleachers.
You know, you get weather delays, lightning, that can delay.
There's a variety of things that can make those games go forever. Yeah, but
this thing must have been going for 6-7 hours, and I kept waking up from my drunken stupor, and the fucking thing was still going on. And the final time I woke up, it had finished, and I was like, don't know. Anyway, we digress. Enough of the Major League Baseball talk, because this is obviously American football. And Mikey's joined in exactly. Just put this comment in. Mikey, good to see you. He joined the Spaces on Saturday talking about boxing. So good to see you. And I agree. I don't get it. And all this ERA and HBO, nah. I can't do it. But I'm sure people that watch it love it.
I will say this to what Mikey said. There's a comment further up here. Grigson at fault for Luck having to retire. Yes, Grigson was also one of the main culprits as well during that time. He was also the main culprit, thinking it was a good idea to trade a 1st-round pick for Trent fucking Richardson. Yeah, look how that turned out.
Went well. That's it. And as for your first question then, Nick, I'm doing really well. My legs have finally recovered from tournament football over the weekend, so happy days.
Well, that's because you're old, and I did see you burning down the field and scoring. I think you had a stunt double in there doing it for you personally, but
no, mate, I do my own.
Someone had a beer in the end zone for you, and they were dangling it like they do a donkey with a carrot, and that was it. Part of mine
no idea.
In the end zone, and that was it. You were gone. Good play, though.
By the time I got to that point, I was already carrying a calf strain and a hamstring strain. Plus the fact I'm also an old fat guy with multiple sclerosis. You know, I shouldn't be sidestepping defenders that are nearly 20 years younger than me. But that's what happened, baby. That's what happened.
You did actually put a move on that guy. That's what I said. I thought you had a body double in there or something, because you looked a lot slimmer, but it could have been the camera angle as you went past it.
Oh, it was the camera angle for sure.
We digress. You wanted to bring this up, Carl. Fucking terrible with names. I've only known you like 2 years, John. You wanted to bring up about Baker Mayfield. Is he the right QB to lead the Browns to the Super Bowl?
Browns.
And I'm changing the show to the Carl. I'm going to change the show's name to the Carl Rantathon, because you're on one tonight, sir. So the floor is yours.
Yeah, Nick Ludlam, if you haven't seen our starting monologue with John Green, go look it up after we do this live show. Okay, just a quick one. Right, Baker Mayfield. Right, what can we say about Baker? His 3rd down percentage this year has been pretty awful. 6 of 29 on 3rd down. You ain't going to win many games, and B, you're certainly not going to go far in the playoffs with that sort of statistics. So far this season, he's thrown 4 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. But is he the right guy to lead the Browns? People said they haven't got many holes in their team. Well, they don't really. They've got some good receivers. Okay, Odell Beckham Jr. is back, and now old problems are starting to resurface again, as i.e. he's not getting the ball. The running game is probably the best in the NFL currently. And the defense, okay, it had a bad showing against the Chargers, but it's actually been really, really solid throughout the seasons gone by. But Baker Mayfield, as we saw what Kevin Stefanski was doing his play calling over the weekend, doesn't trust him. Doesn't trust him in those final fourth quarter, final minute drive situations. And it's going to become a problem because we've seen Justin Herbert absolutely play lights out pretty much since his rookie year. Rookie offensive player of the year. He's coming into the fold now, and he's now in the talking conversation of MVP because he's playing at an outstanding level. You look at Lamar Jackson. Biggest question mark we had over him: is he capable of throwing the ball consistently down the field? Well, if anything went by Monday Night Football against the Colts, way through for over 400 yards to bring them back from a 19-point deficit, I think that shows you Lamar Jackson is getting better in the passing game, as well as using him as a runner as well. But I mean, if you can't stop Lamar Jackson running the ball, then you've got freaking no chance of stopping that team. Baker Mayfield right now in this category is probably the 6th or 7th best QB in that age performance bracket, because you've got Baker Mayfield in there, you've got Justin Herbert in there, you've got Trevor Lawrence in there, you got Joe Burrow in there, you got a couple of others as well. You got Mac Jones in there, and you've got I would say Zach Wilson, but I'm still, after what I witnessed him on freaking Sunday, I'm not 100% sure about him. Baker Mayfield right now is just concerning me. I have still got the Browns winning this division, but to go through past the playoffs to the AFC Championship, the Super Bowl, Kevin Stefanski is gonna need to trust Baker Mayfield in these key down situations. He just has to. I don't know what else Baker has to do, but these fourth quarter situations, you're the face of the franchise. If the team calls upon you to win us the game, it's on you. If Kevin Stefanski wants to take the ball out of your hands and give it to the running game, then that just shows you he's not confident in your ability. You're in your 4th year. They'll probably exercise your 5th year option or franchise tag you. But I don't want the Browns to be sitting around 9-8, 10-7 all the time, just go through the emotions, because they've done so well with what they've done with rebuilding. They've been struggling for so long. They finally got last year. They finally got going. They knocked off the Steelers in a wildcard game. They almost beat the Chiefs in the division round. That was the stepping stone to go even further. If they fall out of the reckoning this year, all that hard work will just be for nothing. And they'll be back to square one at quarterback again. And I don't want that to happen. I think Baker Mayfield is very good, but I think he gets privileged far too much and doesn't get criticized enough.
I think he should stop making that. And I say this all the time, those fucking commercials drive me mad.
That's what I said, privilege.
Freddie, I've sent you a link because there's no good you talking nonsense in the comments. We want you on the show talking nonsense so we can give it back to you, obviously. So I've sent you the link, Freddie. Join if you want to. If not, hey ho. Dion, what do you think about Baker?
Sorry, I had to take my mic off mute there. This is a hard one because I like Baker. I actually do. And I like how he's actually grown over the years. You know, when he first came in, he was a little smug. He was a little, kind of, I'm Baker Mayfield. Fuck you. You ain't nobody, and he's come down off of that. His press conferences are actually a delight to watch because of how humble he is. I can appreciate that. Do I think that he's the guy to take him to the Super Bowl? Yes and no. Yes, because hey, they ain't been winning nothing when he wasn't there. Now that he's there, they seem to win some football games. But you can treat Baker Mayfield like you treat Jimmy Garoppolo. You don't trust him. You got Chubb. You got Kareem Hunt. Run the ball down somebody's damn throat. Doesn't matter. Oh, well, the coach doesn't trust Baker, but bro, I got a Super Bowl ring. I don't care what happened. I don't care if the defense scored all the points and we didn't score nothing. I got a Super Bowl ring. I won. You didn't. I don't care. But honestly, I think Baker could do it. I really do think. Oh wow! So you bring. Wait, no, is he Browns or Falcons? I think he's Browns, right? Well, Falcons. Shit. Oh, Steelers. Well, yeah, they suck too. Anyway, sorry, I just couldn't pick the team, and I remembered. I know it. I just was like, fuck, what team? Next thing you know, he put up the Steelers thing. I'm like, ah, shit. So he's not going to care about this, and he's probably going to say Baker isn't going to do anything. At the end of the day, Baker can take him to a Super Bowl. There just has to be other circumstances involved. I like Baker for the humbleness that he displays now, and he has grown. Although, yeah, a lot of people do have that issue. You got way more progressive commercials than you got W's. I mean, hey, in today's day and age,
they're all
get your money.
I might add.
Get your money, hustle however you can, because the money from the NFL ain't gonna be the only thing you should got. But yeah, I believe he can do it. I'd say I'm about 60-40 he can.
Well, as the poshest man has joined us to talk nonsense, we might as well let him have his say on this. Freddie, how are you?
Hi guys. Hi Nick. Hi Nick. Hi Carl. Hi Dion. Nice to see you all. Yeah, I'm. Well, yeah, I'm happy to talk Browns and Baker if you like. To be honest, I say this every week that the Browns are a brilliant football team. I love their run game. I love their offensive line. They've got good receivers. Their defense was a mess on Sunday, but they had a lot of injuries. And the week before, they were really good against the Vikings. So I'm not that concerned with what they're doing defensively because they had so many hurt last week. The one thing I will say about Baker is that he's just very inconsistent. Is he the guy that you would rely on if you're down 10 chasing a game? I'm not sure. But if you need him to be the game manager, like Jimmy Garoppolo did a couple of years ago, and he can get them to the Super Bowl, then sure, he can do that. He's not the best quarterback in the world, but as I've said, he's a average to good quarterback who will win you games, and you've got the run game and the O-line to win you games on their own anyway. The Browns I think are better than the Ravens right now, so I fancy them to win our division, but are they a Super Bowl team? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not convinced, I have to say. I think the team in general, not just Baker, but obviously, and I agree with what Carl said, he's not convinced. I think they do have to do a lot more convincing before you can not take him seriously. That's the wrong thing to say, but he's got to get him over that hump and actually get there. And that, I think, is the issue of him getting over the hump and doing it. Nick, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same as what everyone said. Baker's not a bad quarterback. There are far worse about.
Oh, yeah.
You said he's going to win you games, but for the Browns to win a Super Bowl with Baker at center, he's going to need a lot of luck. Plus the fact you're probably talking someone else is going to have to beat the Chiefs. Do you really, really want to be relying on another team to do your dirty work for you to win the big one? I mean, Baker's a lot of fun to watch. But then, like you say, the Browns are a decent team. They've got good pieces around him. I don't think he can actually win you the big one. He's not going to be the guy you can put it all on his back and he'll go out there and win everything. You need Nick. Nick Chubb is the man in Cleveland. He's the man that their entire offense goes around, essentially. I know they got Kareem Hunt's a great backup. Hell, he's probably the best backup running back in the NFL.
Yes, he is probably. Yeah.
But you need your quarterback to be able to throw. And this is where we've struggled a little bit with Jimmy, and then he's going on about his limitations. but the Browns are still fun to watch.
The elephant in the room is now going to be spoken about. Last Sunday, Dion was there to see it live in Arizona, in the stadium. Great seats. Let's go with your thoughts on Trey's debut overall. If you want to touch on the game, touch on the game. Obviously, the conspiracy theories flying around, we'll get to those in a second. But what was your overall opinion of seeing him live and in person, Dion?
I'm going to drop out and come back in. I'm going to switch my laptop because my phone's dying. Someone else can take it. I'll be literally right back in a second.
Teach me to look at the private chat message. Go on then, Freddie.
Seconds, because I did watch this. I did watch bits of this game, and it was an interesting watch. I didn't think Trey Lance was particularly awful, but he played all right. The Cardinals defensively were very good. That game was a hard one to tell because it wasn't your usual Cardinals shootout type game. They played to their opponent, and instead they had a more defensive style about their game. The Niners defensively were brilliant. I thought they were really, really good and kept the game very interesting and kept giving Trey Lance opportunities to go on and win that game. He couldn't quite do it. It was a promising start by any means. I don't think he's as bad as I've seen some Niners fans on Twitter this week, but yeah, it was an okay debut.
What do you think, Carl? Have you seen any of the highlights? Have you watched it? Have you seen it? Any opinions, or haven't you watched it yet?
Yeah, I have seen some. I saw the 60-minute highlights that YouTube always put out. I thought Trey Lance didn't have a bad game, but I didn't necessarily think he had a good one either. It was a mixed bag between the two. One thing I'm going to point out is this: you had 7 penalties in that game. Most of those penalties were from the offensive line because of, wait for it, quarterback draw plays for Trey Lance. The offensive line are still working out. They're trying to, when it was Jimmy G, you could just stay static and just keep away in the pocket. Now you got Trey Lance moving around. You've got to try and hold off your defenseman without holding. And that's what the Niners offensive line had a few struggles with. And it also set you back a few yards as well. The interception that Trey Lance threw, it was way over the receiver and straight into the hands of Budda Baker. That's probably the last corner you want to throw it to. But he did make some good plays. I think that fourth down to Mohamed Sanu, I think was a really, really nice throw, and it moved the chains as well. Good throws as well to Ayuk. Obviously, with no George Kittle in the fold, there was a little bit of, you couldn't move the chains as much because George Kittle is basically a third down guy who can get first downs. It was a good game for Trey Lance, but I think his passes still needs a little bit more fine tuning. There were a few times in that game where he tried to go for a few intermediate throws rather than just take the check downs. We saw that in preseason, where he always tried to go for the intermediate or the longer throws rather than go to the check down to your running back or check down to your slot. You know, just little basic things. But it was a solid game from Trey. Not the best, but not the worst. It was a mixed bag. I don't know what Dion's going to say now. Probably shank me and bloody me and the Steeler. But yeah. Dion, the floor is yours.
All right. So did go to the game, was there. Did get to see everything in person. What I will say is Trey did what he could with what he had. Mm-hmm. Here's my thing. The game plan was set up for the kid to fail. It was. That's just I say that and I stick with it. I felt like I was watching a college football game with a hint of NFL. You ran your quarterback more than you ran your running backs. Someone please tell me why against one of the NFL's worst rushing defenses, we didn't just run the ball down their throats.
Eli Mitchell
Someone
was
tell
on.
me why Trey Sermon wasn't seen until the end of the third quarter. Anybody explain that to me? Because it just doesn't make sense. I'd run the ball down their throats.
Elijah Mitchell was averaging 4.8 yards a carry.
Why not keep running the ball with that? 4.8 yards a carry, that means at least every 3 times he's getting you a first down. It just never made sense to me, the game plan. And the first throw, yeah, that was his fault. It sailed. It is what it is. It happens. The other thing I will say is, if I'm the defense, I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm tired of going out there busting my ass week in and week out, and you guys not winning games. My job is not to score. My job is to stop them from scoring and get you the ball back so you can score. So don't expect nothing from me from Christmas. I'm not sending you a turkey for Thanksgiving. You know what I'm saying? New Year's, nothing. You can expect not a damn thing. You can expect probably I'll flip you the bird until you go score some damn points. Then you might think about something. Jimmy, I should have a shiny new Rolex under my tree from you. All the times I stopped Seattle. We held the number 1 offense in the league to 304 yards and 17 fucking points. Someone please explain to me why we could only give them 7 on offense. I'm sorry, 10. And the other thing, why on God's green earth do you have a new kicker and don't use him? There were several times that he could have kicked the damn ball. I was there. We're in a dome. There's no air. There's no wind. Outside of people trying to blow their hot ass breath, when you kick a field goal, there's nothing stopping you outside of you kicking incorrectly. So Joey Sly was brought in to kick field goals, to kick extra points. Why wouldn't you utilize him and give yourself an advantage? You went for it 4 out of 5 times on 4th down. Why? For what? You don't do this any other time.
Joey Sly had his deficiencies in Carolina. When he first arrived, he had a meat hook of a right leg on him. He was banging in. I think it was like he almost broke the record. I think he was 1 yard shy of the post. I think it was like a 65 or 66 yard field goal that he attempted. I think it was last year, actually. And he missed the post by a yard.
Joey Sly came in, from what Kyle said, and was kicking the shit out of the ball when they were auditioning kickers in Santa Clara, in Levi's, in the wind. And made all of them except one. So somebody please explain to me, if he was doing that with wind, why wouldn't you trust him without it? Why would you put that game plan on that young kid? Why? And as far as the offensive line, this is what I'll say. They're not used to him. They're not used to somebody that extends plays. I can tell you right now, it was there firsthand. There are at least about 6 to 8 sacks Jimmy Garoppolo would have taken. But Trey didn't take those because he can move and get out of the pocket.
The problem also was penalties.
Yeah, and there
how many penalties on the offensive line when you play quarterback draws?
And I'll tell you this. The refs shafted us. You don't know how many times I saw things that we didn't get called. And they even asked Nick Bosa about it in the post-game presser. And even though Nick sounds ridiculously, to me, I love what he does on the field, but he talks so damn slow, I honestly start thinking something wrong with the boy. But he literally said it as smooth and as smug as he could. I'm not getting fined. Why? Because when you complain about the refs and the crap job that they do, you get fined. One of the sacks on Trey Lance was a horse collar tackle. No call. His helmet got ripped off on the play. No call. There were several penalties that were bullshit. No call. there was that play where Juice went ahead and tried to quarterback sneak it. He had the first down. That was a bad spot. All of these things happened, and it just didn't matter. And it really didn't. Go ahead.
Officials from last week had probably one of the worst officiating of all the games in the NFL. The Browns Chargers game was a prime example. No fucking way, hope in hell was that defensive pass interference right at the end for the against the Browns. No way. That was offensive. The offense brought the defender down.
We had an offense. We had a defensive PI on Josh Norman when it should have been an offensive PI on DeAndre Hopkins. He fully extended his arms. He fully pushed off, and that happened. Oh, thank you for bringing that up, Melissa. The safety in the end zone. If you're holding in the end zone, the rule is that's a safety. But because when that happened, we had been getting screwed on so many calls, I hesitated. I was like, I ain't about to say no safety until I see something. I don't trust it. And what happened? Nothing. We ain't get no safety. So Trey Lance has some good moments. He has some bad moments. But it's growing pains. The offensive line has to start to learn how to work with the quarterback that can extend the play. They have to know what to do and how to do it. Those things will come over time, people, so nobody should panic on that. My only thing is, why would my coach set me up to fail and look bad? Especially when he's the one that if I don't win, everybody looks to him and goes, you drafted him. Can't blame nobody else this time. Can't say somebody forced you to want Jimmy Garoppolo, none of this. And for Kyle, I'll say this. Kyle had ample opportunity to get us quarterback year in and year out since he's been here. The first year, he didn't want to get us quarterback because he was in love with Kirk Cousins. So we had to suffer through your bromance and keep sucking because you thought Brian Hoyer was going to hold us over. The first year Kyle was here, he did draft a quarterback. His name was C.J. Beathard. Patrick Mahomes was available. Deshaun Watson. There were a host of other quarterbacks in that draft that could have came here. But he said blatantly, honestly, I wasn't studying quarterbacks the first year I got here. And we all know it's because you wanted Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins even thought he was gone. He thought he was going to be a Niner. But I will say this. With the performance that Trey Lance had, if he goes back to Jimmy G, nobody's going to fault him. They're going to say, look at what the kid did. He's not ready. He's not this. He's not that. I'm sorry. Have you looked at all of the other quarterbacks selected in the first round and seen their starts? They look like hot shit on a stick. They were garbage. So don't you sit up here and down Trey Lance for that. He can't do nothing. There's nothing he can do. He can only do what's inside the game plan. And if you don't prepare that young kid the right way, it doesn't make sense. Next point. Carl, I'm going to ask you this because I respect your football mind. It's not that I don't respect anybody else on the panel. But Carl, I like Carl's take on certain things. If Mac Jones had a rapport with N'Keal Harry and Kendrick Bourne, and say Brady was there and he went down, and you put him in the game, would you leave Wes Welker and Danny Amendola out there or Julian Edelman, or would you give him a little bit of Kendrick Bourne and N'Keal Harry?
Hard to say, really, because N'Keal Harry has been pretty much non-existent for us. If he built a rapport with N'Keal Harry and Kendrick Bourne, I would give him the receivers that he is using to work with. But if you've got the likes of Julian Edelman, Wes Welker, and so on, and they're your number one receivers, then at some point, you're just going to have to ride or die with what you've got.
But do you mix them in? That is what I'm saying. That is probably what I should have said. Do you at least mix them in? Are they in the game plan at some point?
Yeah, you have to.
Okay.
You have to.
In our preseason, Trey Lance developed chemistry with two people.
Westfield. Is it Westfield?
Trent Sherfield.
Sherfield, sorry, not Westfield.
And Juwan Jennings.
Mm-hmm.
Both big body receivers. Juwan Jennings wasn't even dressed. He was a healthy scratch. He was inactive. Trent Sherfield didn't even get a fucking target. But Travis Benjamin, of all people, gets called up from the practice squad to do what? Run a deep post or a go route? Because that's all he can do. He doesn't do anything else. He's a goddamn returner. He returns kicks and he returns punts. You did not give that young man the tools to win. There were so many times where we were subbing in and out receivers. Why would you not sub in Trent Sherfield and make the play for him? Why would you not have Juwan Jennings dressed, knowing he has built a rapport with him? Why? Why are you setting him up to fail? You can't tell me, as much as we rotate receivers, you wouldn't sprinkle those dudes in a little bit here and there to have him build some kind of continuity. I don't care that Debo and Ayuk are the starters. The offense that we run is set up for everyone to win. All people get the ball. I think we've thrown 12 to 13 touchdowns to different receivers the whole time. Explain to me why you don't do that, Kyle. Why wouldn't you set your quarterback up for success? I'm not saying that you eliminate Debo and Ayuk, but it would make good sense to say, hey, Trent, hey, Juwan, I'm going to count on you guys. He's worked with you. He has a rapport built with you. I'm going to need you guys to go out there and help him out. We need to make sure he looks good, and we need a W in this game. You really mean to tell me that with the work ethic and what they have, that neither one of those dudes would say, got you, coach, and go out there and ball out? I think they would have. So at the end of the day, Trey did what he could with what he had, and I'm proud of him. He's got some things to clean up, but that's to be expected. But if Jimmy gets on the field and stinks it up again, we expect that too. And I'm sorry I took up a lot of time, but that's all.
I went, made dinner, came back, a bit like watching a baseball game. That eloquy you put out there, Dion. No, I'm only joking. Nick, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, everyone's hit the nail on the head, really. I mean, it wasn't bad. It wasn't spectacular, but it's his very first game in the NFL against NFL defenders. You have to completely separate preseason because that's preseason. It is pish, frankly. He looked good. He showed a lot of promise. There are things to work on. Of course there are. The guy's a rookie quarterback. There is no rookie quarterback that's ever come in as the finish article. You're going to improve. The offensive line clearly needs time to adjust to Trey. Now, if you're going to run with Trey, if he's available week 7, I think now's the time to start going with him, because that offensive line needs time to learn what Trey's going to do. He needs the first team reps in practice to do that. Now, I said at the beginning of the season, my bold prediction was that Jimmy would start every game. Obviously, went badly wrong. The guy was always probably likely to get injured at some point. I like Jimmy. I think Jimmy's a good quarterback, but if Lance is going to improve, he now needs the reps. He needs the time with that. With the offensive line need that time with him. They've got to go for it. And Carl's got to sort out this play calling, because although I'm quite happy with 2 or 3 of the attempts to go for it on 4th down, I'm quite happy with. I didn't like the call to have. I didn't like the call to have Kyle Juszczyk go under center with 2 yards to go. I didn't like that. I thought that was too far to be doing that play. I think it's a nice play. If it's a bit shorter, it's a bit closer. I think it was too far. That's the only one I really disagreed with. But I'm fine with him going generally with the other. I think the first one was probably a bit iffy as well. And maybe should have left that one. Let Lance get into the game. There was no need to throw to the wolves quite on that particular play. But Trey looks good, man. I mean, the pass to Ayuk was lovely. That was beautiful. I mean, it's in there. I'll be honest, I was a bit shaky and I thought Ayuk was going to drop it. I know he's not had the best of starts with some of
There were several drops in the game too by Sanu. by
Yeah.
Debo, and I think Ayuk as well. You can't have that. Don't do that to that young kid. Catch that damn ball. You get paid millions of dollars on a yearly basis to do one thing: catch the fucking ball. Do your job.
And he showed that he can in that threaded pass, because there was the defender was all over him. He was there. There was a very tight gap. It was a perfect throw and a great catch. They did what they needed to do there. Ayuk clearly needs more of it. You've got to get him more involved. And I hadn't thought about it until Dion said about the whole Trent Sherfield coming in. Now, all right, you don't have to decrease Debo or Ayuk's targets to introduce the likes of Sherfield and Jennings. You decrease Sanu, who's not had the best season. He's not playing particularly well. So there's your opportunity right there to bring in the guys that he's been practicing with week in, week out, all the way through the preseason. So why not use it? And again, what was it? One carry Trey Sermon had? One? Why are we trying to use our running back, our brand new quarterback as a running back? Yes, he can do it, but he shouldn't be doing it as a number one option. There should be the quarterback design run plays should be used sparingly, and they should be there as a last resort. And use the goddamn running backs we've got who have proven to be
in the red zone.
fantastic.
You ran the ball 12 times in the game against Arizona. That is not 49ers football.
No, it's not.
We should have made it so long time that they wouldn't know. That didn't make sense.
Backs. Elijah Mitchell is proving to be an absolute fucking steal further down the draft. They've proved that they can do it with near enough anyone. He's absolutely on it. He needed more carries. I don't know. We've seen Carl seems to have gone back to this whole, okay, we're going to run all the freaking time. And you don't need to hurt the poor guy. Let him be a fucking quarterback. Don't run him every fucking bit. We're not playing college football anymore. NFL defenses will fucking destroy you if you do that. They will destroy your number one draft pick, and all of a sudden, all of those picks are gone for fuck all.
This isn't North Dakota State anymore.
You've seen what using running backs can do to a quarterback as well. I mean, we've just talked about Baker Mayfield. He's clearly benefited from having that consistent run game in front of him. If you're just not going to use the run game that's there, then that's already going to hold Trey Lance back a level.
And see, look, Freddie, what your name says, we actually ran the ball. I'm gonna change mine to we should have ran the ball. Like that's the whole point of it. We should have ran the damn ball, man. It don't make no sense. I'm sitting there, and I kid you not, where I'm at, bunch of 49er fans all around me. There's one jackass of a Cardinal fan right behind me just cheering and screaming. And it's like, it's a game, bro, but honestly, I want to punch you in the mouth because you just really need to shut the hell up. Like you're doing the most right now. Like I get it. You guys have touched this little 5-0 and you feel good about yourself. Bro, get some Lombardis and then come talk to me. Like you have nothing. I think the Cardinals, if I'm not mistaken, Carl, you're pretty good with history. Do they have an NFL championship? I don't even think they have that. They do, right?
Do they?
Oh, yeah. My wife already knows. Yes, they have one. Yeah, and the wife is an avid football historian. She doesn't watch it as much as she used to, but they have one NFL championship. And the sad part, it doesn't count. No one cares.
Because it's not
Get
Super Bowl.
a Super Bowl championship, and you'll actually do something. You might even get Cliff Kingsbury
for them not having one. You should thank You should thank the Steelers for them not having one.
No,
no,
I need to know.
You don't get away with that. You fucking ruined 3 transcendent talents of receivers for the Cardinals. One of them, Larry Fitzgerald. Come on.
I love how you plugged that. I love how you plugged that, bro. That was the perfect timing. And I would tell you right now, to be honest with you, I watched that Super Bowl. You can thank James Harrison because he's the one who won it for you. Because he's the one who ran it back. I swear to you, So we all remember the DK Metcalf rundown, right? Of Buda
Yep.
Baker. Remember how he just caught? I swear to you, Larry Fitzgerald ain't never ran that fast in his life. Chasing down James Harrison. He came from across the field. I swear to you, know what he saw? He saw a Super Bowl ring in the form of James Harrison running away from him. And he chased that fucker as hard as he could and just didn't catch him. That's got to be the most painful thing. You given all your life to this team, and you right there. And that's the only reason why Kurt Warner's in their Ring of Honor. He shouldn't be in there technically from how long he played for him. He didn't do anything, but it took him to the brink of the Super Bowl, so he got in. But yeah, man, that oh my God, that was like the most annoying thing probably. But the cool thing was the Cardinal fans afterwards, we had a little back and forth banter, but it was cool. Like, I was just like, hey man, look, y'all won, y'all were the better team. It is what it is. And the sad part is they even saw that he was set up to fail. They were looking like, what was he doing? Why was Kyle running that out there? And I'm looking like, you asked the same question. I'm asking, fuck if I know.
I couldn't unmute myself there for a minute. I've been itching. Right, here's my take, and it is going to piss people off, and frankly, I couldn't give a fuck whether you like it or not. 1.5 games, Trey Lance has flashed some brilliant things, some not so good, and some downright awful stuff. Now, and I think in the heart of hearts, all 49ers fans know if Jimmy G is fit, right or wrong, he will be the starter over the kid this season. Whether that's right, whether that's wrong, that's not for anyone but the coach. And I have to go with what he decides, not what he says, because I think the last couple of weeks, I think Kyle Shanahan has basically just fed the fans the biggest bunch of bullshit I've ever heard him say. I really enjoyed some of the play on Sunday. I really did. Like people have mentioned, that pass to Ayuk was. If you didn't know that was Lance throwing that, you could have thought it would have been Rodgers or Brady. That's how good that throw was. So we all know the potential is there. I don't know if I can buy that Kyle set him up to fail. And the question I would ask, not that he would ever answer it, because he'll answer a question with another question, or he'll just point blankly refuse to answer it. Out of all of those rushes that Trey Lance had, how many of those were play calls that were designed or what Trey saw and decided to pull it down? Now, that hasn't been answered. And the weird thing I can't, and this all doesn't add up, the receivers thing, 100%. He should have had his guys in there, sprinkled in, not all the time, because, they're third and fourth receivers for a reason on the depth chart. But you would like to think that this so-called offensive guru would think, well, hang on a minute, he hasn't thrown much to those other guys because they weren't in training camp and they weren't in pre-season. These other dudes were. He's thrown an 80-yard bomb to one of them, for fuck's sake. So what in his mind made him think, fuck it, not even going to bother. I'm not going to dress Jennings, and I'm not going to get him to target thingy. That's the problem I have. I don't know if it was set up to fail. I can't say that, but it looks that way. It definitely, and I agree with you, Dion, all of these factors, it looks that way. And if that is the case, he shouldn't be a head coach, period. They should downgrade him to an OC or fuck him off out the door. And I don't want him sacked. I really don't. But the more you hear, the more you speak to people, it does kind of get into your head a bit. He wouldn't do that, surely. We're not trying to choke for the number round, the first overall pick. Well, we haven't got any first round pick, but you get what I'm saying. I don't know if that's in his. I can't explain it. But going back to Trey, I thought he played better Sunday than he did in the half previously. Obviously, there wasn't the touchdowns. But I want to know how many of those design runs, and again, we're never going to find out, were designed plays. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to run the QB, or he didn't see what he liked, or he could. The receivers weren't getting. That was the other thing, Dion. People were saying when they were watching it, and they've watched. Some people have watched the all 22. The fucking receivers aren't getting open, and that's why he's pulling the ball and running. Now, obviously, I can't see the all 22, and you don't see it on the TV broadcast. So that would be my question. It is, you were there. Were the receivers actually getting separation and getting open, and he just didn't see it? He didn't, and he took off and run. You were there. You tell me.
There were several plays where he did miss a few guys, but for the most part, honestly, they weren't creating separation. And it doesn't make sense because the Cardinals' DBs were hella suspect. They're super suspect. But, yeah, they weren't creating proper separation because I watched him literally on one play run around for at least like a good 15 seconds. And luckily there was no penalty called, but he tried. Trey, the one thing I will say is for all the people that think that he ran before he should have, there may have been a few plays that he did it. But for the most part, what I saw firsthand, he was doing his damnedest not to run. And there were lots of times where we as fans were like, no, you have the green grass, run. But we have to remember he's a quarterback. He's got to think pass first, run second. You know, I mean, hell, it goes all the way back to when he was a kid and he made the switch. There's a thing up on YouTube on, I believe it's like on NBC Sports where they kind of go through the motion of, you know, from start to finish of his, you know, football career in general. And one of the things that, you know, he was really hurt by was the fact that he was living in Minnesota and he wanted to be a Golden Gopher. And they told him that they would pick him up, but not as a quarterback, that he would have to change to like safety or linebacker. And that's why he wound up at North Dakota State. But there were a few times where the receivers were open and he didn't see them. But there was many times where they just were not getting separation. And I think them not getting separation, them not getting separation outweighed, you know, them being open. Because I was looking at it like, why? I kept thinking to myself, why is he running? Because I was watching him in the line. And then I started looking at the receivers, and I'm like, they ain't even open. He ain't got no damn choice. So
that could be why he ran 19 times. Yep. And that's an interesting point because, again, we're not going to ever know whether he decided to pull the ball and run first than pass because he couldn't pass. And a lot of people have compared that performance to some of Colin Kaepernick's because he wasn't trigger happy. He obviously was a run first QB, in my opinion.
Yeah, because Cap couldn't read defenses and he was bad going through his progression.
I don't like with what you just said about the receivers not being open, that tells me he can read to a point, and we all know he hasn't seen anything like this before. This was his very, very first start. Mm-hmm. And that kind of, what you said kind of makes sense that maybe out of those, 19 runs, maybe at least half of them were his decision because the receivers weren't open, or the pocket was collapsing and he had to get out and extend the play. And as you say, he was running around a lot. And that's why I think a lot of those offensive holding penalties were, because as everyone said, they're not used to him trying to extend plays. They're used to 2 seconds, Jimmy Garoppolo, bang, it's gone, whether it's completed or not. Very, very rarely does he hold the ball for more than, 5 seconds unless he's running for his, well, he doesn't run for his life because he can't, but you get my point. So it needs to be ironed out. But I hope one of them is fit for week 7, because if you think I'm watching fucking Sunday Night Football and Nate Studfeld is out there, I'm staying in bed.
You're only playing the Colts. They're dead in the water come after week 6.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I cannot watch 3 hours of that. Seriously.
I can tell you that.
Give me on one leg, and I'll take Trey hopping around with crutches or a walking stick against having to watch that.
There was another thing. I don't believe the quarterback is injured. I believe Jimmy got benched. And I believe the calf injury was bullshit. And then with Trey, he's got a sprained knee, really, but he finished the game. If your knee is sprained, you ain't out there trying to hobble around on one knee playing quarterback. Nobody does that, you know. And the other thing is, if Trey can play and they can start him.
Oh, he's gone. I'm sure Dan will come back in. I kind of believe the Jimmy thing purely because he wasn't very good against Seattle. And he was subpar, definitely, 100%. So that I can believe. I don't know if Dion's back.
Yeah, sorry. Yard kicked me out. They were like, "We don't like what you're talking. Get out of here."
No Carl doing it.
It's not me.
I can't figure out if. Obviously, I don't know if you heard. I think Jimmy was pulled. I agree because he wasn't very good. Do you think that the Lance thing was done to protect him from more scrutiny and give him an excuse, like with Jimmy, for the way they both kind of played? I'm not saying they were both bad. Don't think I am. But that might explain the fact that he couldn't get into the goal line and his helmet popped off and certain other things. And it was an easy way to take him out of the limelight and not let him be scrutinized so much. And people say, "Oh yeah, he was injured." And I know people will say that with Jimmy as well. "Oh, he was injured, but and that's why he couldn't do this and couldn't do that." So it's going to be an interesting bye week because I believe, well, I hope and pray they're both up. But
yeah, I was thinking if Jimmy, what I was saying before StreamYard decided to boot me, if they're both healthy and he decides to go back to Jimmy, we probably get flexed out of the Sunday night game, and they put it as something that's going to be more appealing. The NFL wants to see Trey Lance. Can you imagine? We played them, and then I believe after we played the Colts, we played the Bears. If I'm not mistaken. Can you imagine the TV ratings? Trey Lance versus Justin Fields.
Mm-hmm.
Come on now. You think people ain't going to eat that a lot? Look, Nick, do it again. Do it again, Nick.
It's all there.
Do it again,
Let's
baby.
be honest, man.
That's all it's about.
That advertising money is going to go through the roof.
Those ratings would skyrocket.
I mean, can you imagine 49ers Twitter, bearing in mind how it's been up and down this week, if Lance starts, he beats the Colts, and then it's Lance versus Fields, and Lance is really bad, and Fields is like amazing. You know what's going to happen? Oh, we should have had Fields. We shouldn't have taken Lance. It's all this, it's that. It's bullshit.
It's always going to be.
It makes for great TV.
Brewing already, right?
Yep. It'll be straight up bullshit anyway, because Matt Nagy will not give Justin Fields the full potential that he knows that he is capable of, because he's a hack of a coach.
Matt Nagy did what some of us think that Kyle Shanahan should do. He should
game manager,
play calling. Because I'm gonna tell everybody out there, listen to me when I tell you this. And understand. What is the dude's name? McDaniel?
Yeah. Yep.
He is not our offensive coordinator. That is a title given to him by Kyle. That's input? Yes, he does. Is he an offensive coordinator? Hell to the no. He will get if the 49ers wind up somehow salvaging the season and looking real good, he will get himself an actual OC job elsewhere where he's really calling the plays. And that's how that's going to work. Kyle is calling those plays. Kyle draws up the game plan. He's the one that's running everything. Don't let him fool you into thinking he actually gave up the play calling to someone else. And I can honestly say this. I know a couple people were calling for his head, and we heard like some different things. I'll tell you right now, I don't want to get rid of Kyle, and I feel like we should give him a fair shot. But it's starting to look a little bleak for him, strictly because he only has one winning season. And to me, if by some freaking chance they did, I'd go after Eric Bieniemy. You know why? Look at what he did with Patrick Mahomes. And Bieniemy's actually calling plays. Like, he really does that. Andy Reid he may be the head coach, but Bieniemy actually calls plays. So
Thing is, when McDaniel's on the sideline with a headset on, it makes me wonder if it's switched off and he's not actually fucking doing anything. Because he is just a yes man. They needed to keep him this year, and he's a yes man. And do you know what? The biggest hot take, garbage bullshit I've seen all week, the man we love to hate, Grant Cohn, said we should trade Kyle Shanahan and Jimmy Garoppolo and George Kittle to Vegas for picks. He actually said that. I watched it today. Now, we all know, or people that watch 49ers content know, that guy is the biggest clickbait artist in the history of clickbait artists.
I think every team has one.
And do you know what? I thought, I'm not going to watch this. And fuck me, I had to watch it because it was there. It kept popping up. And I'm like, I've got to listen to what this clown is talking about now. And he does talk a lot of sense. But when that was on, his thing now is he wants Kyle Shanahan either fired or traded. And that is his big thing now. And he's going to carry on because Kyle upset him or he didn't answer his question like he wanted it properly in the press conference. He's going off.
His ego. Or bruise his ego.
He just clickbait, man. That's what he is. He's been that way. Like I've chatted. I'll tell you this. I've chatted with Grant Cohn. As a person, he's actually a good human being. He's actually
definitely. I mean, I've obviously I've been lots of shows and spoken to him off camera, and he is a very knowledgeable and nice guy. But you switch the cameras on, and he changes like that. He's like a hero.
Because of all the shit that he says, I look at him like, bro, you probably don't even believe half the stuff coming out your mouth. If he worked at TMZ, man, he'd be making millions. Because he likes to just...
He is the 49ers TMZ, all on his own.
100%.
All on his own. And how he got a job or keeps his job with Sports Illustrated with some of the shit that he comes out with.
Because of his father.
That's part of the reason why. Because of
his father.
And the craziness. And, his father. Yep.
Yeah. Grunt the cunt is
trading on his father. His dad was the one who got him the job in the first place. He was the one who helped him out. Mm. And you can't say that Lowell didn't help him out, even if he said that, oh, man, damn it, I got to watch that CG Ruthless. Yes, you did. You shot me a
definitely, yeah. I want to watch that. And talking before we get on to our last subject, Carl's time at the International Series game, I'm 99% sure my main man, 4-time Super Bowl champion, Jesse Sapolo, is back on Saturday. I've spoken to him and I've sent him the time. I'm just waiting for him to respond, but he's agreed. He's coming back on, and he wants to come on this Saturday if time allows. So we're going to have the fastest, quickest game picks in the history of game picks for the first hour, and then hopefully Jesse's going to come on for a good half an hour for a chat. And you know what we do on this channel. Anyone who wants to ask questions, you can DM me on Twitter. You can come on live in the chat and ask questions, all things obviously Niner related or anything you want to ask him. You can ask him what he had for his breakfast. He'll answer it. So that's the breaking news. Saturday, 2:30 UK, which I think is 7, 8. I don't know. I can't work it out. In America, it's Eastern anyway. 5-6 hours behind. I don't know. But anyway, He will be on in the second hour, hopefully, of the show on Saturday. Third time on, God knows why he comes back. I think he's a glutton for punishment. But at least you can guarantee the second hour of the show, no one will say fuck, shit, wanker, piss, bollocks, or anything, because we're always very respectful when we have guests like that on, which is always fun. I have asked Jeff Reinbold as well if he can come on. So I'm waiting to hear back from him. Right, Carl, before we wrap it up, talk to us about your time at the International Series game. What was the atmosphere like? How expensive was the booze, food, good seats, and all that other kind of jazz, and who you met?
The actual experience of it was first of all, it was good to be back watching games again in London, whether it was at Tottenham or at Wembley. The atmosphere was absolutely electric, as it always is there. Managed to finally get hold of Craig. First time I've ever met Craig in my life. So my co-host is now, me and him are now well recognized. Bumped into the ATL Falcons guys, Callum and Andy. Really, really great guys. They've done amazing well on their channel. The actual game itself was actually, at one point, it was like 17-0. I thought, oh, here we go. It's going to be one of those blowout games. And, everyone's going to leave early in the fourth quarter, this, that, and the other. And then the Falcons decided to imitate the Hindenburg and end up nearly choking the game away, as they nearly proceed to do. I did do a vlog, which I am still in the process of editing as we speak. And I did put in one of there that obviously with no Calvin Ridley, no Russell Gage, you're going to look out and you're going to see Kyle Pitts have his breakout game. What did he do? He scored touchdowns and he had like 6 to 7 receptions. He was outstanding in that game. Matt Ryan was brilliant. Offensive line, really, really good. The Jets couldn't land a lick on Matt Ryan. Zach Wilson, watching him play as a rookie, there are some deficiencies around him. He's always trying to go for the long, big play. And during the second half, because he was closer to my side of the field when it was the far side, quite a few times I noticed Jamison Crowder go off to the left or to the right in the slant, and was wide open by about fucking 5-6 yards. Never picked him out. And I'm like, yeah, that's a straightforward first down there. The Jets could have easily have won this game, but they decided to make it difficult for Zach Wilson. Prices weren't too bad actually. I think it was like £6 for a lager or £6 for a beer. I think it was, so not too bad at all. The big gripe that everyone has is the transportation to get in and out of Tottenham, because obviously it's not as good as the one at Wembley. At Wembley, there's 2 stations and they all link up to around London, especially getting back to central London. Whereas at Tottenham, there are 2 stations, but they kind of basically fall in the same line. You got Seven Sisters, and then you got the one further closer to the stadium, which I can't remember what it was now. So it can be awkward, or you can take the expensive route and get an Uber, which is what me and my best mate did. It cost us £35 to get back from Seven Sisters back to our hotel in Islington. So all that. But the game itself was great. Jacksonville and the Miami now play this Sunday, which Freddie has got the delightful of watching 2 even more shittier teams go into play. The Jacksonville Jaguars right now, okay, they're on a 20-game losing streak. The record is 29 games. I plead for the Jaguars, please grind out those losses to 20 like Urban Meyer grinds on women on a Friday night. I beg of you.
The other thing I heard, and I don't know if this is a rumor or not, but allegedly Urban Meyer wanted to come over early because he heard Spearmint Rhino, and Spearmint Rhino is a really good place to go for a couple of nights out. Allegedly.
Yeah.
They didn't go for the food, huh?
The thing that stood out to me, and I love America for this, is the way they got that lady up on the cockerel in the stadium and that is high to sing. And I know she had you could see she had a restraint on, obviously, but she was holding on for dear life with the other hand. And I thought that was spectacular. I always love national anthems, but I think whenever you see the American one live, it's always something special. And then you had the Jets come over. But I wish they'd have kept the camera on that lady, because I would have loved to have seen her getting off there and going, fuck it, or something like that. Because that would have been really, really good to see what her face was like once she got back over that railing to relative safety, shall we say. But no, I love it. I love the Jets going over. I like to explain. Visually, it looks, the stadium looks fantastic.
The stadium is state of the art, and it's purposely built for NFL games. It's purposely built. It's the way it's been designed. It makes it. The thing is with Wembley, yeah, it's a 90,000 seater stadium and everything else, all that. When I was at the Colts Jags game in 2016, it felt like he was a little bit further away. And when it reached third down, the noise kind of just evaporated and didn't really move around the stadium. At Tottenham, when it was third down, now obviously when we watch it over here in the UK, we actually boo the home team rather than boo the road team. It's like wrestling, and I know Dion will attest to this, okay? But when the Falcons were at third down and the boo started ringing, it just felt like you couldn't hear yourself think. It was one of those atmospheres where as soon as sound comes up through, it just builds around and it just caves in. It keeps it so loud. That's what they did.
When they designed that stadium, especially with the two big ends and the roof, and this is before the NFL were even involved in it. And Tottenham don't get an atmosphere because they suck, but they wanted the town to rise and stay within that stadium, and it did come across. The atmosphere does, and you don't appreciate it really when you're there as much as when you watch it again, because you're kind of you're there, but you're not listening to everything that's going on. And I think the visually it looks amazing as an American football stadium, and it's far too good for Tottenham, and their trophy cabinet's still got dust in it because they're never going to win anything. I was disappointed in Zach Wilson. I didn't watch the whole game because I turned over to the the Packers and Cincinnati, and couldn't believe that ending. It was fucking crazy. I mean, Jesus. Crosby missing 3 in a row and then blaming the wind. And you could tell him on the sideline saying there's a crosswind. And then bloody the Cincinnati kicker comes out and does exactly the same thing. And you're like, how the hell does that happen? It was crazy.
Even better when he was celebrating before it went wide.
He said he in his interview, he said he thought the refs were jerking him off. Can you imagine refs doing that when he actually scored just to make him look stupid? I mean, that would be so funny if it happened in real life. But
I'm pretty sure that's not accurate. I'm pretty sure it's not accurate.
Never going to do it, but it would be funny.
Not like the field goals either, but they weren't accurate either. So
no, exactly. But yeah. I mean, and final thoughts we're going to come to now. My final thoughts from last week's games. The real Antonio Brown is back, and that really surprised me, and it has impressed me. And again, I think he's a character that kind of like Odell Beckham is, one thing goes wrong and he loses his shit, and he's holding it together this year. I mean, he held it together when he joined them last year. So there's obviously something right for him in Tampa. You don't see him in the news doing all the shit that he was doing before. And it was watching some of those catches he made and the way he ran for that 65-yard touchdown, I was like, how could Pittsburgh have let him go? You chain him to the fucking gates. And to me, that was the story of, like, I thought watching Antonio Brown do some shit he did last week was really good to see and nice to watch. Same as having Josh Gordon back in the league. Like we discussed earlier, please for the kid, please stay clean, stay healthy. And let's just see if you can make to the end of the season before you do something fucking ridiculous, because the NFL needs players like that, the same as they need people like Antonio Brown in the league. So that's my final thoughts. Carl, what's your final thoughts? Because you've had 95% of the thoughts in the show, so you might as well finish with your final thoughts.
Yeah, fuck John Gruden. We have got to improve massively against Dallas this coming weekend, hugely. And good luck to everyone that's going out this weekend for the Jags Dolphins game at Tottenham Stadium. Obviously, Freddie, you're going as well. As again, should be an amazing atmosphere. The game probably not so much. I'll also add this little fact as well. Miami Dolphins are in a really bit of a shit state right now. My bold prediction of them actually not making the playoffs is looking more and more better by the day. And to make matters worse, they don't have their first round pick next year. If they don't make the playoffs with this team and they are struggling with Tua as quarterback, oh boy, they're in a world of shit.
Interesting. At least we don't have to worry about a game this week, Nick. We can relax this week until the shitstorm starts the week after, around about probably Wednesday, when we get the first injury report back, etc., etc. But what's your final thoughts, Nick?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I think mine is just I just want to plead for patience amongst Niners fans, especially if we are going to run with Trey going forward. We need to get behind the team, and we've not been united in a while. So I think that's about the best I can hope for. But other than that, I'm prepping for another tournament this weekend. So good times.
I bet we don't see another video of you doing that sidestep and scoring this week, though.
Fingers crossed.
You just see you hopping off, going, "Oh shit, my leg! I overdid it last week."
Well, what you don't see is me leaving the same using my walking stick, so that's all good.
Well, I thought you might, after them moves, I thought they'd have wheeled you off in a wheelchair. That's how slick it was. Obviously, football was good for you.
I
know the struggles you've been through, and to see you playing ball again and actually performing at that level, it is a testament to you, sir. And I mean that with a great sincerity, because I know you've been through a whole world of shit. So, yeah, it was good to see. And if I never see another video, at least I've got that one to hold on to as your career sails off into the sunset. And I've still got a picture of Freddie that I've still got to upload to StreamYard so I can use it as my background very soon, Freddie.
Nice.
Just dude.
Oh,
and he knows what picture I'm talking about because Mummy put it out on Twitter, and I
do know the one. Yeah,
he retweeted it, and I saved it. Freddie,
yeah.
Over to you.
I have 3 closing thoughts. One is exactly what Carl said earlier. Well, I wasn't here earlier, but I gather you spoke about John Gruden, and well, frankly, he's an absolute disgrace. And thank goodness he's out of the league, because that's not acceptable under any circumstances in any walk of life. And football should be free for everybody, and everybody should have equal opportunities. And if you're trying to deprive somebody for who they are of having that opportunity, then you shouldn't be in the league. And that's all I'm going to say on that matter. I'm looking forward to seeing as many people as I can on Sunday. The game is probably going to be dire, but that's all right. It's typical London style. It's not really about the game. It's about everything around it and the atmosphere and meeting people before. And I'm up in London all weekend, so I'm looking forward to meeting all sorts of different people and people laughing at the fact that I haven't got any hair and everything else. So I'm looking forward to that. And I guess you 3 Niners fans are going to stay up Sunday night to watch the exhibition of us squishing the Sea Chickens.
That's a no from me, as Simon Cowell would say. In fact, I've got an appointment to watch some fucking paint dry, because I don't want to watch 2 bum-ass quarterbacks, 2 bum-ass teams play in a meaningless game that I couldn't give a flying fuck about. Dion, over to you. Final thoughts.
I don't know how to follow that up, man. He said I got an appointment to pay. Fuck. Yeah, I have no intentions on looking at Geno Smith do a goddamn thing. But final thoughts. Don't go back to Jimmy. Stick with Lance. Let the kid learn. You know, the offensive line will catch up to him and just put him in a position to win. And, you know, at the end of the day, we're all Niners fans. You know, we're all Niners fans outside of course, you know, our two standouts here. But we're chasing that 6th Lombardi. We need it. We got to have it. Don't know if we'll get it this year, but it'll come soon. So give Lance the tools to win. Let him continue to create success. And that will fall on us, and we'll be winners. That's all I got.
It's going to start heating up from Wednesday evening over here in the UK.
He muted himself. You good, Nick?
Sorry, which Nick are you talking to? Me or the other one?
Oh, sorry. You. I was wondering because I got stopped and then it kind of like froze on me. I don't know.
No. We got your thoughts, definitely. And next Wednesday evening over here in the UK, when the pressers and the injury report come out, I'm not going to go on Twitter, and because I don't know if I can face the arguments again because it gets very heated. I might just do a spaces and just swear and rant for 10 minutes and no one will tune in, then I'll just switch it off again. But hey ho, that's another story. Don't forget, hit that like and subscribe button, hit that notification bell if you've enjoyed the show. CG Ruthless, if you're still here, hit me up on Twitter DM and we'll try and arrange to get you on Saturday if time zones allow. Obviously, still, once I've definitely got confirmation that Jesse is going to be on the show, I'll obviously tweet that out. But thanks, everyone, for watching. Dion, as ever, it's a pleasure. Thanks for taking time out of your day. Freddie, wear a hat because you're going to get cold on Sunday in that bum-ass stadium, freezing your knackers off. Carl and I might actually come up there and sell some Pro Plus outside the ground because I reckon we make a killing trying to keep people awake. Enjoy yourself up there. Nick, thanks for hopping on. Always good to see you. We'll have to start calling you the Antonio Brown of the Shank Club. If you squint hard enough, it could come true with your moves that you've got on the field. Carl, it's good to see you again. Glad you had a good time last week. Normal services resumed. Saturday, 2:30. We will be back. We will be looking at this week's games. And one more thing, just before we go, I've got a special announcement to make. Very special announcement. John Gruden, fuck you. Good night. Thanks for watching. We out.